Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this album. It is Deceptive Bends by 10cc. So this album celebrates its 40th anniversary today, being released on the 14th of May in 1977. So yeah, what I'm going to do in this video is give a bit of quick background information about the album, then I will show you my vinyl copy of it here, and then go over each of the album songs in detail. So this album was a important one for the band, because it went through a number of changes before this album. Firstly, founding members Kevin Godley and Lol Creme left the band in 1976 after dissatisfaction with the group's more commercial direction, what they were going in, with songs like I'm Not in Love, Art for Art's Sake and I'm Andy Fly Me. They were all UK hit singles, all written by the two other members of the band, Eric Stewart and Graham Gouldman. So Godley and Creme left the band in 1976 and they made this album called Consequences, a very experimental work, triple vinyl album here. Massive flop, but it's what they wanted to do. Meanwhile though, Gouldman and Stewart continued recording with drummer Paul Burgess. They wanted to prove that 10cc could be a success without Godley and Creme, and they done that to a certain extent. This album was a UK hit, reached number 3, features two hit singles on it as well, got great reviews. However, as the years went on, the albums would get a lot less successful. So I'm now just going to show you my vinyl copy of it here. This isn't actually my copy, it is my dad's copy, what he's had from 1977, since the album came out. Firstly, the cover, it was designed by the Hypnostics design crew. They worked a lot with Pink Floyd and also with Paul McCartney and Wings. And this is one of my favourite covers by them. Just such a great, such a bold, striking image. So many questions it raises, so mysterious as well. I just really like it. There's the back of it there, just Eric Stewart, Graham Gouldman, and the track listing at the top. This is a gatefold vinyl, so there they are again there in their diving helmets, and then the inner sleeve looks like this, just got the lyrics on both sides, and then the record label, we are on Mercury Records for this release here, just the same label on both sides there. Okay, so I'm now going to go over each of the album songs. I will score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So it opens up with Good Morning Judge, which is a really great rock, a really great way to start the album. Lyrically, it's a lot of fun. It's the story of a criminal who gets sent to court, then gets sent to jail, and that sung very tongue-in-cheek sort of style, but it's really great, really great guitar playing on it as well, especially the solo bit in the middle, they do this sort of dual lead guitar. It just sounds so brilliant. This was the second single from the album, reached number 5 on the UK singles charts. Yeah, a really fantastic track there. Like walking in the rain and the snow when there's nowhere to go. That's followed up with The Things We Do for Love, which is a brilliant track. I think just an excellent pop song, really finely crafted. I love the different sections, what it goes through, the stages and that. It's really fantastic. I've heard this song has been referred to as the best song that Paul McCartney didn't write. It sounds very much sort of like Wings, very melodic, and really great track, I think. This reached number 6 in the UK singles charts, and probably ought to have done a lot better. Although this was the height of punk, young kids weren't buying stuff like this. But this was one of their bigger international hits, reached number 1 in Canada, and also done very well in the US singles chart. So yeah, The Things We Do for Love, brilliant track, one of their classics. Well, a lonely man needs a Mary Bureau. Next one up is called Marriage Bureau Rendezvous, which is a slightly slower song here, like about sort of like a dating like service like for like divorced men, like is sort of like the lyrics what I could get from this. Like this one like sung like by Graham Gulman this time, like who sings it like really well. Like I like the song, like the way it like develops, like goes through like different stages, like again like there's a bit of like a reggae bit, like more so like melodic chorus and like verses. It really works, like really great track, like I think, and beautiful like band harmonies, like as always like with 10cc. Yeah, just a brilliant track.
Look at the smile in her eyes. I knew
And then the next one up is called People in Love, which this was reportedly the song which when like Godley and Krem heard this, they walked out like all like the band. They didn't want to record like this track, like they'd had enough. Like I can kind of see why with this song a little bit. Like it is very sugary sweet ballad, but I do think it is like actually quite good. Like features like some really nice lyrics, like a gorgeous melody, like as well, just a beautiful track, like sung beautifully like by Eric Stewart. Really great song, great guitar playing like on it as well. Yeah, just a fantastic track, I think.
she's gone.
And then the next song is called Modern Man Blues, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. This is like a more like sort of like bluesy type song, like a little bit more off, like a harder edge to this one here. Lyrically like about like a man like whose like wife like has just like deserted him, and like again like has like two very distinct sections, like a more sort of like moodier sort of like verse, but then like it goes into like a sort of like a celebratory chorus, like if like you will. Although like I would say like with this song, like I do vastly prefer the live version, what they do like on this album. Like I just think it has like a lot more energy. Like this is at the closer like as well, so like they do like a great like jam like at like the end of like this track here. For me the album version itself is still really great, just not quite as like good as the live version for me personally, but it is still a really great track though.
My baby, she's crazy, she's lazy, so she's always bumming around.
So opening up to side 2 of the album, we get a song called Honeymoon with B Troop, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. Now this is like a really fun track, like great sort of like rock riff like to start like the song up, and slightly like gimmicky like backing vocals on it, but it's just a really upbeat, really fun like song like in general. Like it is like a little bit weaker lyrically, but this one like could fit like really well like onto like one of like the earlier albums such as Sheet Music or like their debut album. Like just like really like experimental track, like quite light-hearted, like I like it a lot.
I bought a flat, diminished responsibility.
And then we get a little song called I Bought a Flat Guitar Tutor, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. This is quite a short piece, like just under like 2 minutes I think, which I kind of like. It like uses like musical like terminology like as puns like throughout like the song. Like the lyrics like what like they're saying like go along like with like the chords like they're playing. It sort of like says like I'm sharp, like augmented, and like it kind of mentions like all like this sort of like musical like terminology, which like me like being like an amateur musician, like it's quite a funny song, like I have to say, like quite clever like the way they've done it. Just a little ditty though, really like quite charming, like a novelty song like out at the end of the day though.
You got it.
And then the penultimate song is called You Got a Cold, which is another slightly silly song here, like about like being stuck in like with a cold. Like this is a song where I like could like relate to, like about like 2 days ago, like I was like choked up and like that. So yeah, just a funny track, like I think like rocks along really nicely. Little bit repetitive, like in like the chorus, like it's just like the line you got a cold like repeated, but it is quite fun, like passes quickly I think. So yeah, a good track there like overall.
All the people in the world.
And then the album closes really well I think with Feel the Benefit, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10. So this is a really sort of grand like 10-minute plus track like to close the album. This one like you can really tell like they were like inspired like by side 2 of the Beatles' Abbey Road album. Like it combines sort of like rock and classical, like and also like a bit of like Latin like influences and like elements as well, like to make this brilliant track I think. The introduction riff is slightly stolen like from like Dear Prudence, Doesn't matter though, because I think the actual track itself is just great. Like, it's, the production's so lovely, the lyrics on it are like really great, like about sort of like unifying like people like through music. But for me, once again, like, I would say that I do prefer the live version here. Like, if only like for like the guitar solo, like at like the end, like on the album version, it sounds a little bit like a sort of like a bad outtake, like almost like there's sort of like there's bits like missing from it, like it's hard to describe. But like, if like, you know, like the album version, like you might like know like what I'm talking about. Just for me, the live version, like Eric Stewart does a brilliant solo like to close this song here, and like, yeah, just a fantastic track, like I think, and really, really great, like one of like 10cc's masterpiece songs for me. Okay, so overall, this album would score 87%, which is a terrific score. For me, this is a really strong collection of songs, and like is probably 10cc's best album, because for me there is very little filler. Like, you could say that like one or two tracks like on side 2 maybe like would like constitute like as filler, but they are all still really like great, like really creative, really fun songs. So yeah, side 1 like sees them like going like in like this more like commercial direction slightly, like with songs like Good Morning Judge, Things We Do for Love, and People in Love, like Marriage Bureau and that. But that's like no bad thing, because they are all brilliant songs. Like the first 3 like all getting perfect 10 out of 10s. They are just really fantastic songs. Side 2 though, like off the album, like I get the sense that like they're trying to like emulate like what like Godly and Creme like would have done. Like slightly weird like oddball stuff, like such as like You Got a Cold, like I bought like a flight guitar tutor. But it does come off well though, like it comes off like quite like naturally, like it is like 10cc like would always like a little bit like off like a weird sort of like arty band. So like doing like these strange songs here, like they do make sense. And yeah, most of all, like I think that like they really proved that like they could like be a success like with only like half like the original members. However, for me personally, this would be like their last great album. Like it would be like quite like a slow decline like through like the later 70s, like early 80s, like by like the point like where like they stopped making music, like they no longer like really had like an audience. Like they didn't like have like a following, like the songs like had that deteriorated, like unfortunately. But this is still like a brilliant album though, and like certainly like everything before this is like just brilliant, like the debut sheet music, the original soundtrack, and How Dare You, all fantastic albums, so many great songs. Like one like the 70s like most like underrated bands for me, 10cc. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed. Like if like you have like any requests for future album reviews, please do leave them down below. I would like to know what you think of this album also, and I will see you all for the next video. Goodbye.